Hey, my friend, we've got the secret of thinking. And it's once started, you will never finish. And you'll improve every day with this secret, the secret of thinking. And you won't get lost in your own hype. Hopefully you'll feel thoughtful, curious, and hopefully it'll be life-changing too. If that's of interest and it's important to you, come and have a listen after this. Hey, this is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, where we use hypnosis. Yeah, hypnosis. NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Don't worry what it is. It's just a mass of processes that we're going to get you to change. Change to let go of anxiety, low self-esteem, and create massive supreme inner confidence. But that's confidence in your competence and competence in your confidence, which means you can do anything and be safe, to enjoy the world as it should be, with you at the helm, creating the life that you want. That's what this podcast is about. You and being the best you could be, singing from your real voice, aligned with your mission, aligned with your passions. That's what it's about. So if you're interested in letting go of anxiety, if you're interested in letting go of fear, guilt, all those blooming syndromes, imposter syndromes, and every little bit of the mind which is negative, then have a listen here, because we've got some wonderful processes and lots of good conversations between you and me to get us both thinking in such wonderful ways. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Just take the chance to have a listen.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.
Hey friend, how you doing today? You good? Yeah, I think I'm pretty good too. So this thing I've called the secret of thinking. Well, do you know what the answer is? There really isn't no secret. We'll talk about that shortly. But I wanted to expand a little bit on one of the FMQs I did a little while ago about thinking. Because I used to fool myself. Honest thing coming up here. I used to fool myself because I used to think I liked thinking. And I used to think I think a lot. Or I thought a lot. I thunk a lot. And I did a bit. But I don't think I did it right. There's lots of thinks going on in here, isn't there? You see, some things came along to give me a jar. Have you ever had that before? When you think you're doing something and then you suddenly realize you're not. It's like you live your own hype for a little while. And then all of a sudden you go, oh dear, that's not right. Because questions I had were things like, do you deliberately think, Cloughie, about a subject? Do you take time out just to think? That's some questions I'm going to ask you too. And you see, I get this totally wrong, I'm sure, but I was reading a book by Jordan Peterson, and I love that man. So he's bloody hard to follow in a book sometimes. But he was talking about thinking. And basically, he was saying thinking is the art of being able to talk to yourself. That's what thinking is. Thinking by having a communication with yourself and an articulated, and I'm making this up now, I think, but that's the way it came across to me, that thinking is not just, oh, what about that? Because I even gave myself a bollocking when I was journaling, because I was writing along and I wasn't really getting very far. And I was asking in some ways for a bit of advice, and the advice I got was, well, you got a puzzle book, and it's a great idea. It's a great idea having a puzzle book, and it's not really a puzzle book as in has puzzles in it. It's just a blank book, a book with blank pages that I use to puzzle things, to muse, to think, or I thought. And this note I got in my head, and I wrote it down, was, yeah, your puzzle book, great idea. It'd be really good if you used it. And I go, whoa, cheers, Cluffy. There's a good slap. Great idea if you used it. So I thought to myself, if you really want to make the best version of yourself, how do you do it? How do you do it? See, this is another thinking process. And randomly things jump to my mind. Well, it's personal development. So you can have some random podcasts, a bit like here, a bit random. You can go in courses. You can get maybe some hypnotapes or hypnotapes. How long ago was that? Hypnosis downloads. You can get some programs online like I've got, paulcloughonline.com. Have a look at those. But I wasn't getting it. I just wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting it. And this is really what I want to tell you, because I don't want you to get lost in your own hype like I did. I'd love for you to get a little curious with me, maybe a little thoughtful. You see, some people, not you, but some people I see as a client, they want a magic wand. A magic wand that when I waved it, and I don't know if magic wands click, but if they did, they'd click like that. And everything has changed. A bit like with hypnosis, they expect me to put them in a trance, do nothing, hear nothing, don't think anything, and then open their eyes at the end of it with I don't click, by the way, not in hypnosis, but they expect to have everything sorted. And in fact, even on our websites, we actually put, we're not wizards. It's not magic. We don't have a magic wand, but we are pretty experienced of helping people change, because you have to work at it. Hypnosis and therapy is all not a do to, it's a do with. We work together. And that's what I think personal development should be. And thinking should be working together with yourself. And some people want that magic secret of a mind hack. Now, a mind hack, I've talked about this before. Why would you hack at your mind? Why would you, I know they're trying to say hack into your mind, but why would you think of hack into your mind? So there is no mind hack. There is no do it to me, because they just don't work. They just don't work at all. And basically what's happening there is people are talking the talk as if, yes, this is what I want. I want to improve myself. I want to change. I want to do this. But they're not prepared to walk the talk. I think they call it walk the walk. They talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. But I tend to call it walking the talk. Now, is that you? Is that you? Are you the person who just talks the talk and wants the magic wand to happen, or, the secret mind hack, and you follow those clickbait things, a bit like, the secret of thinking? Gotcha. But there is no secret. I did say there's no secret, didn't I? And I know it's not you, because if it was you, you'd have turned off by now. And if it was you, you wouldn't have even been listening to me in the past. But this is more about me. And hopefully it resonates a little bit with you. Because I said, if you are like me, maybe this does resonate. I used to go through the motions. I was always, well, not always, there's a big generalization, Cluffy, but I used to want, if I could, to find the easy way. And I thought thinking was, you ask a question. I used to ask a question in my unconscious mind, and sometimes I go really 100% and write the bugger down. So I'd write the question down. There you are. Doing what I say, walking my talk. Always write these things down so you can come back to them. And expect my unconscious mind to go away while I'm doing and just doing my life as normal, and to come back a little bit later and give me the answer. Now, I know that system works in different contexts. I use it for other contexts, and it works 100% all the time. But for just general thinking about issues where it's a bit more deeper, it wasn't really giving me the thing. And, I was just hoping for answers, and hope's good. But the thing is, I would wait and wait. And, I'd wait. And sometimes I get lucky. I get lucky because somehow my best friend inside would go, oh, for Christ's sake, Cluffy, here's an answer. Here's do something, but you've got to get down to it. And that's what came to me. That was that thing saying, you got this wonderful puzzle book, but a great idea. And it is a bloody good idea because it's so simple. Really is so simple. It's a book with plain pages in. That's how simple it is. But I'll go through that in a minute. You see, I think sometimes we need that kick up the bum, don't we? Just to bring us back into the reality of what's working and what isn't working. Because you see, when I did work in my puzzle book properly, I got answers. I really did. And to me, that got life-changing. The answers I got and the thoughts I had and the processes it brought out in me to do on myself, work with myself, were life-changing, are life-changing. So, you see, I thought about that too. And when I did think that way, I guess I got more creative. I certainly got more productive because I had things to do. I got answers. Now, there is no way on earth that I know every way to think because I wasn't doing it that good myself to start off with. And I just want to pass on with you or to you what I think. Because if you really want to get into thinking, you read and listen to people like Jordan Peterson, philosophers, people who do think for a living. But the thing is, sometimes they don't tell you how to think. And I want to share with you the way that I'm using at the moment, the way I found from this kick out the bum. And all I needed, and all I need, is a journal. My yellow puzzle book. It's got to be yellow. It's got to be called a puzzle book. No, it hasn't. It's got to be just a plain, lined, plain sheeted, whatever you like, little book. Can be anything from A5 upwards, anything you like. And your diary. Diary, Cluffy? Yeah, your diary. Some people might say, well, I don't use a diary. Well, use one. You got it on your phone anyway. There's diaries everywhere. Now, you can add to this, because I do, you can add things like a little bit of music in the background, a cup of coffee, a G&T, glass of wine, whatever it is, a little incense, lovely little smell. But, just to make your environment conducive to being comfortable to think. That's all it is. So you've got the three main things, for me anyway, the journal, a puzzle book, and my diary. Then I just make the environment as nice as I can. Sometimes I'll sit outside if it's quiet in the sun. And that's it. Oh, one more thing. The most important thing with all those is the core thing. We talk about it so often, but we forget about it so often. And I did when I just thought was my intention, what I wanted to achieve, setting an intention. What do I want to achieve when I'm thinking about X, Y, whatever, you fill in the blank. And a state. I wanted a state. And the states I like to have is something like just being curious, calm, maybe creative, connected. And then last of all, time. So that's not a lot, is it? You could do that in a few bullet points. Now, you wouldn't have to bullet point a journal, a puzzle book and a diary, because once you've got them, you've got them. You don't have to bullet point really the environment because you'll just do it. But the things you really do need to bullet point is setting your intention, setting your state, and creating the time. They're the three main things. The rest just fall into place because you've got them, and that's it. And you see, obviously, like all great thinkers, because we're going to be great thinkers now, we're going to need hours and hours of intense, deep work so we can create all that. That's a load of all. Well, for me, that was what I thought you had to do, is why I try to find these really quick fixes. But the quick fixes do work once you get into it, I think. They certainly work better. But you see, no, you don't need hours and hours and hours and hours of intense, deep work. No, start small. Small steps. Maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's all. Because it gets you underway. And once you get there, you'll spend longer because you need longer, or you'll spend less. It doesn't matter, but at least you allocate some time, and that's what it is, you see. So here's sort of what I don't do now. It does change. It does morph a little bit depending on what I'm doing and where I'm doing it. But have a think about this. Have a muse. Try it. Please do try. No, don't try. Do it. Because trying it means failure to some people. But take on this little bit and then make it your own with, if you want some subtle changes, make a little variation of it to make it yours. You test it. Can I change something to make it even better? Oh, that didn't work. Go back to what it was. Or that did work. And if it does work and you do make it better, for goodness sake, you got to get in touch with me. You got to email me and say, hey, Cluffy, did what you said. Tried it. Did it. And I found by doing this, I got even better results because I would love to know. I'm sharing mine, or I'm showing you mine. You show me yours. But email me. I say that really clearly now. Email me. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's it. But anyway, here's what I do. First of all, I journal. And I journal every day, or damn close to every day of the week. And I've been doing this for years and years and years and years. And it's not a journal like of notes of everything which is sad, which is down, which is negative. It's a place where I do talk about my issues and note my issues. And sometimes, as I say, that's where I get a lot of my feedback on what I think I'm communicating better with my unconscious mind, because I seem to get the answers and I write them down, which is where I got this thing saying, you think, but you don't think. Why not think of a way to think and do it properly? And by coincidence or serendipity, at the same time, that little bit in Jordan Peterson book came to mind. It just happened that way. But what I also do then is I have my notebook, my puzzle book. And as soon as something comes in my journal that I go, that's something to work on. That's something to think about. That if I can solve that, it'll make a difference. Even if it's only that, I just want to get a bit better at this area of my life. I make a note. I open up the pages, open them up so I've got two sides, and I just write the heading. That's it. Just the heading. I'm not sitting down and thinking about it, but I don't want to lose it from my journal. Yes, I have in the past gone back over the last week of my journal notes, read them again and found bits of interest and done that. But if I can do it straight away, it's hot. It's in that puzzle book, in that notebook. Now you've got things, if you say, well, I don't really want to carry around a lovely yellow puzzle book, just like Cluffy, because they're so lovely. But you've got on your phone something like a notebook, or there's notebook ads. There's Evernote you can use. There is, send yourself an email to get it going but you want that book of some kind. But you make a note as things happen. So it doesn't happen in your journaling. I've been walking around, something I hear, something I see. I think, oh yeah, that would help me. Or that's an issue. That's something. Why did I do that? I'll write it down on my notebook, my Evernote, on my phone. Or I'll take a picture of something to remind me. And then go back to that puzzle book and make that heading. And it's just a heading. It's a title. It's the issue. And it doesn't matter. It could be a blooming picture, a little sketch if you want. It's just something for you to make sure that you're reminded of it. And I say, I always give myself at least 2 or even sometimes 4 pages. A bit technical now, Cluffy. I know. All I'm saying is, I know when I come back, I'll have something else to think of. And I want to make sure I've got enough room. And I can then find things easy. Now, when you've done that, you're all ready to go. It's easy as that, isn't it? No, because this is where the discipline comes in. I hate the word discipline, but you have to have that little bit of will. Because you need some time. And how do you do that? You schedule it. Yeah, literally, you schedule a thinking time in your diary. And that's where your diary comes in, or your diary on your phone. And you look at your things you've got to do in a day and you go, do you know, I have literally half an hour. spare today. So 20 minutes of that half an hour, I'm going to book out thinking about. And literally then you go to think. And what do you do now? Because you've got your puzzle book open, you've got your pen. You know, if it's in the evening or something and you've got your music and you've got the incense going, your coffee, your G&T, your glass of wine, a bottle of beer, whatever it is, you're ready to go. All you have to do then is from those 2 of the 3 bullet points. What's my intention? Ask yourself just before you start, what is my intention? Well, I want to find an answer to this particular thing. So you're really getting specific. And you think to yourself, well, to get that, what type of state do I need to be in? Well, maybe it is, I'm just going to be curious. Curious is a good thing. Well, what does curious feel like? And if you can't get that state just like that, just think back to a time when you were curious and you were thinking about things. That's it. Because once you do this enough times, you'll have that curious state just to think back the last time I was here with this puzzle book. And in fact, the puzzle book will then become an anchor, because as you open it, you set your intention and automatically that puzzle book will anchoring the feeling of curiosity or connection or creativity or whatever you generally use as a state. That's what becomes the anchor. And then you spend your time and you just do it. And if you wanted to, you could have a little bit of a system if you wanted, because you've got your questions, but you've also got things like, have I done this before? That's something to think about. Have I done something like this before? Because if you've done it before and it was successful, think about the process you used. Maybe, if you haven't done it before, there might be a question, might be, well, do I know somebody who's done this before? Because if you have, they'll tell you if you ask them nicely. Or maybe you want to think, well, what resources do I have already? What's going to help me find the answer? Give me the time to think. And you can actually start thinking, well, what resources do I have? Well, I've got persistence. I've got patience. I can talk to myself in a nice way. I can ask myself questions. And as you notice those, you maybe even just write them down and write down some good questions maybe. What would it be like if this was easy? That's a great question when you're thinking, because then we don't get lost in all the fog and making it more difficult than it needs to be. In simplicity, there's genius. So if this was easy, how would I be? What would I do? What would I think? When do I want this? When do I want this answer? Because maybe it's one of those things that it's going to take a little time. Maybe it's like a problem with work and it's going to be a step by step. So now you can start planning it in a form of, in a series of steps. And then you schedule those steps. How do I want to feel? What will the feeling I get when I resolve this? That may be a better question. If I was to resolve this now, how would I feel? And what would that allow me to do? You see, you're now telling your unconscious mind what the result will be when you've solved this, resolved this. It'll mean I feel like this, which will be a bloody good feeling. It'll be a feeling that your unconscious mind says, this is good and safe and comfortable, therefore it's something I'd like to go and help you with. But also then you start to look at the opportunities that are going to become available to you. Because you're already in the mindset of, this is resolved, and as it's resolved, I'll be able to do this, this, and this. That creates a deep motivation for you to get this thought process done and resolve the issue. You may even think of, there are other resources. Maybe as I think about this, I'm going to schedule some time for a hypnosis track. Oh no, Cluffy's going there as well. But hypnosis tracks work when you set your intention and you have a specific, reason. You have a specific goal in mind. You get mine. You go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. And you've got 50 odd bloody processes there. So you'll find something which will help you. You've even got a thing called a well-formed outcome, which will help you go through your thought processes, which is a little bit what I've just been going through. But you can get a more deeper one than that. And you can get it set into your unconscious mind so it becomes like a habit or a set of resources that you can just go. But you go, I've got all these hypnosis tracks. I've got a load of podcasts here. And you'll have other podcasts and books. What books have I got on this subject? Who do I know has got information, got all these things? And when you start thinking this way, every one of those questions is an open question. And that open question means your unconscious mind is going to go and try to close it and give you the right answer. When you've got that feeling of the wish fulfilled, you've got so much motivation to get it done. And it's going to be like a meditation of a sort, because once you start thinking and talking to yourself in this way, you are constructive. You're creative. And the more creative you are, more curious you are, wonderful things are going to happen, because things that you would never dreamed of thinking about will come your way. I know they will. I know they will. Because that's what's happened. To me, that is. And that's what will happen to you. And you'll also get that little thing called synchronicity, or bloody coincidence, or, oh, I seem to be getting lucky, because you'll attract these things. And they're already there, but you'll attract them either if you believe in the law of attraction, they just come along, or you've got the biological thing of reticulating, activating system. Your unconscious mind or your mind will find those things that you're thinking about. Because you remember that saying I said before, not a long time ago, but quite a few times ago though? You get what you think about most of the time, whether you want it or not. Well, if you're in deep thought now, and only for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but you are in that short period of time in deep thought and you're getting these feelings, you'll think about it more time. And it's a rich thinking. And that rich thinking will create rich results. And then it becomes a habit. And then you'll do it on the run, as it were, because your mind will be in that creative, resourceful state of finding solutions, finding options. And then you can sit down and plan again. To me, it just works. And it seems so bloody simple, but it's got to work. Having a journal, having a puzzle book, scheduling in a diary, making sure your environment is as good as it could be. I mean, sometimes a coffee house or a pub or a bar, you can sit in the corner and you're just in a different, you see, when you go into a different environment sometimes, you're in a different place and you think of things differently because you see things differently. And when you look at things differently, they appear different because you're seeing them from a different perspective. It all just adds up to me. Most important thing though, set your intention, find the right state when you've got that time. There you go, my friend. That's it in a nutshell. Absolute nutshell. You can have more fun than you can stand, and you can do what you want. And I think sometimes, this is my last little bit really, I think sometimes you can just reflect on your thoughts as well. Spend a little time just going over the last week, the last month, and even thinking of the future. And when you look at it from this dispassionate way, or, the meta view, the dissociated way, you just get a better feeling, get a feeling for what you really want. And the thing is, when you reflect and review, you're measuring. I say that a bit more clearer. You're measuring where you've been, how far you've come, and where you're planning to go next. And that's paramount, I think. Because then you could be that close. You can't see what I'm doing, but I've got my fingers just a little bit apart. You can be that close to your goal. But if you're not measuring it and not reviewing where you are, you could miss it. You could give up. I've seen so many people give up on their goal and they're so close, but they didn't realize it. And it's only when you look back and you go, I wished, and I could have done, and I didn't. And that's where we get regret. You only regret the things you don't do. Very rarely regret the things you did do. And you see, these are all things like the 5 keys to success that we talk about. Having a goal, having an outcome in mind, and then taking massive, continuous, intuitive action. Then being flexible. Because if something comes along, you can be flexible. Oh, no, certainly. You have to be aware of what's happening. That's that review, reflection. So we've done the thinking. Now we're reviewing, reflecting. And then we have to be flexible, because if things come along in our thoughts and we have to change, we can be flexible to get round, over, under any obstacle. Knowing that we know specifically where we want to go, where we want to think, what we want to achieve. And then having that wonderful not philosophy. We have the, what's the words now? We act as if. The mindset of success. Psychology and physiology of success. That's what we have. Got it right this time, Cluffy. Well done. Anyway, that's me. That's just me rambling now. I really want you to just set some time and think of things, and then let me know how well it works. If you would. Just a little bit of feedback. Because then we can dive deeper on things that how we can improve things. And if there's anything you're having trouble thinking about or want help with, a bit of support, let me know. Same email address. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you didn't mind me sharing it with you. It's not the only way, but it is a way, and I know it works. So if you would, maybe share this too. That's the real thing I'd love you to do. Share what you learn, because when you share it with people, you get to learn it better. You really do. When you share it with people, you try to teach somebody, and they, first of all, when you do that, you will get a real deepness in understanding of what you know. And also, it's a wonderful act of sharing this podcast. That's all. It would do a wonderful thing for them, a wonderful thing for you, and it makes me feel good too that we can talk to so many people, share what we know, and create better lives for all of us. So if you would, please share this to maybe just 1, 2, or everyone you know. Nah, 1 or 2 people would do fine. Every day. Anyway, until the next time, my friend, time to fly. Enjoy every heartbeat and have more fun than you can stand. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.